Our video this week is about learner feedback. Giving feedback to students is one of the essential roles of a teacher. In the context of education, feedback means information that students can use to improve their performance. Some teachers believe that feedback means error correction. They believe teachers should correct every student error. This is not only difficult and time-consuming, but it is not very effective. Too many corrections can be overwhelming to students. They may not be able to pay attention to all of them. Too many corrections can also be demotivating, giving students the feeling that they are not competent learners. In order to have the most positive impact on learning, teachers need to consider when to give feedback, what feedback to share, and how to share it. It's important to give feedback soon after the student performance. If teachers wait too long, it becomes more difficult for students to connect the feedback to the work that they did. On the other hand, there are some times when a small delay can be helpful. For example, if students are giving a spoken presentation, it wouldn't be a good idea to interrupt them with grammar corrections. In fact, many teachers save their comments about student presentations until after all students have presented. Then they offer some general comments about frequent mistakes. The timing of feedback will depend on what kind of work teachers want to comment on. Teachers should try to balance the need to give timely feedback that students can use with the need to avoid interrupting or demotivating their students. What information teachers choose to share when giving feedback also depends on the situation. The most important thing to remember is to focus on the purpose of the activity. If students are doing grammar exercises, for example, teachers can offer explicit corrections or requests for self-correction on the grammar focus of the activity. It would probably be best to ignore most mistakes that are not related to the current grammar focus. If students are having a discussion or writing a journal, teacher feedback can consist of responses to student ideas or requests for clarification. If students have written a first draft of a paragraph or essay, teachers can make suggestions about organization and word choice. If students are writing sentences with new vocabulary words, teachers can focus only on the use of those words when giving feedback. Limiting your feedback to the focus of the activity helps teachers avoid giving too much feedback, and that helps both students and teachers avoid becoming overwhelmed and demotivated. There are many different ways to give feedback. Teachers can give explicit correction, for example, by rewriting a sentence for a student or by reminding students of a grammar rule. Teachers can also help the student correct themselves, for example, by just making a gesture or by underlining a mistake, possibly with a symbol that indicates the error type. This is called implicit correction. Don't forget that praise is also a form of feedback. Compliments should be as specific as possible, commenting on a student's excellent use of a specific structure or word, or a specific idea that was well expressed. Finally, when sharing comments at the end of a written text or a spoken activity, it is often best to give a feedback sandwich. This means starting with a specific compliment, then giving a correction or suggestion, and ending with something positive. These supportive comments help the student feel competent in their language learning and close to their teacher, both factors that support motivation and engagement. For extended assignments, such as essays or projects, teachers often choose to use a checklist or rubric for formative and summative feedback. Checklists show the steps, skills, or materials students need to successfully fulfill an assignment. Both teachers and students can use the checklist for formative assessment to note what is complete and what still needs work. Rubrics describe the teacher's expectations for student work and indicate what scores would be given to different levels of work. They are often used for summative assessments, but they are also useful for formative assessments to indicate progress. Regardless of the instrument or method teachers choose to give feedback, the important thing is to match the feedback to the learning objectives. Be mindful of the quantity and timing of feedback, and be sure to balance the positive comments with corrections. How teachers choose to give feedback can definitely impact students' motivation and engagement.